What is going on, everyone? My name is Sean, and welcome back to Building StarKiller Base, Episode 6. So, I know that it's probably been a couple months here, and if you saw my trailer video, you know that I put out the last couple dates for the StarKiller episodes to be arriving on YouTube for you guys. And I am so excited to be back, and I'm very happy I took that little break, because I needed to resupply on parts, I needed to figure out the whole second half of the build, and I also just needed a little creative break to work on some other projects, and as well as you can see, I'm in a new studio. Now, the full studio tour is gonna come in another video in just a little bit. I'm still working on just a couple things here. Mainly, I wanna get shelves to line up the back part here, in which I'll put my modular buildings on. So that will come in a couple weeks here, as well as I need to kind of figure out the air conditioning in the garage because it does get a little warm. But besides that, it is completely finished, and I'm so excited to keep working on StarKiller. So, behind the scenes, I have been working on 5 other base plates since the last episode of StarKiller. And essentially, what I've been doing is building a strong foundation to where I'm going to place the actual main portion of StarKiller on, which is the main base portion of the build. So I ordered a ton of 2x6 bricks, a ton of 2x4s, and 1x5 panels, and I have just been hammering away at this build. And it's not hard necessarily, it's just time consuming because it's 6 gray base plates here. But I finally got it done. I'm so happy. It took a lot of parts, but luckily I don't think I'll have to do this again, at least for a little bit, depending on how the back section of the mock turns out and what I want to have there. So looking great so far here, and honestly, it just kind of needed to get done. And if you want to stay up to date with all these episodes that are coming out, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video as well if you do enjoy this content. I'm really excited about StarKiller, and I want as many people to follow along as possible.
You can sense that I come so far from where you went off on me, saying that.
So up next was working on the back wall of StarKiller. Now, I had kind of been procrastinating this for a little bit, only because the wall has a bit of a slight angle to it. It leans forward, not even by a lot too, by just a couple degrees. However, it is very noticeable when you're watching the film or playing in Battlefront 2. So it's something that I had been tinkering around with and honestly kind of over engineering at a certain point. I was playing around with ball joints. I was trying to add the hinges from the back there and have the wall connect, and overall I was just doing way too much. So what I ended up doing was getting the I think they're called like the rocker pieces on Pick-a-Brick, but hinge parts, and I put a couple down on the bottom and I placed a couple on the top, and as you can see here, it gave it so where I can lean it forward a little bit, and while it's leaning forward, I can also have it angle back and connect to the back base plates very comfortably, because I wanted to make sure it was going to be stable and not just something that was going to be a little flimsy.
I'ma show myself, yeah. I've been busy on the way. Took the love I had with you and I put it back into myself like that. I've been loving myself like you were. No, you were. Like you were.
Now, the next part of the build that I wanted to finish up here was one that I've been working on for actually a couple months now, and I just got around to finishing it. And that's this little side corner of the base that kind of protrudes out. I think it looks really cool, and there's enough room in the middle of that to maybe add something fun. So who knows what I could add there. But overall, I think it looks really nice, and it's going to contrast really well to the large portion of StarKiller. Now, if you watched the mid-season finale of StarKiller, the last video I posted about it, you'd seen that I did build a pretty large podium for StarKiller, and I really did think that was going to be the one I was going to use for the like basically the rest of the base. And as you can see here, I do have it halfway installed, but I'm just gonna say with having the wall built and the other portion of the kind of protruding base, it just was a little too big for the build. And I like too how the other one was just a little bit smaller. That building protrudes out just slightly to have nice angles and to fit well within like not having the wall just be super flat all the way across. But I don't know, the way the podium was way too far out, and the walls I had actually built for the side were way too long. In fact, they were probably like 8 to 10 studs too wide to even be like they wouldn't even fit to like where the other like brick plates were. So I actually went ahead and tore up all of it besides the front portion that I had built, which I'd actually kept the same size, and I just shrunk it a little bit here. So you can kind of see in the time lapse here, I just wanted to just taper it in a little bit. And what I also wanted to focus on was instead of tiling the entire podium, I wanted to try a little bit of snot work because the detail I was able to do with the tiles wasn't for me necessarily what I had intended for it to look like. And, I didn't have my full parts collection at the time, so I kind of just left it as good enough. And it really didn't sit right with me here. So I went ahead and fixed that up as well. Let me know in the comments if you like this smaller podium design. I think overall, with the scale of StarKiller, it may seem a little small, but it's actually, I think, really going to work out. And honestly, the way this all looks, it's not fully complete, but how it's starting to look is really getting me excited here because it's starting to look complete. My vision of the build is starting to come true. I talked about in previous episodes how, the tarmac is a large portion of the build, but, creatively and aesthetically, it's not, it needs another piece to it. It needs a different color palette. It needs elevation. It needs buildings, angles, and this is just hitting all the right spots creatively for me. And I just feel rejuvenated. It was a little hard to kind of get myself back in the gear of building, but I'm so happy I'm back here because just seeing the wall and seeing everything I'm doing, it's all working out here. And which comes to the portion of the video I'm a little sad about, which you can see here is that I actually ran out of 1x5x6 dark bluish gray panels. Now I have a whole bunch of these plates here, but I'm out of the panels, and so I'm gonna place an order. I plan on placing it early next week, but I'm a little frustrated because I really wanted to work on that main large portion of the base. I really wanted this episode to, we could build the foundation of it and then go through and do details after, but unfortunately for this week, I don't have the parts for it. But I'm trying to make it up in other ways here and, kind of show off what else I was able to get done. So I really hope by next episode or maybe the episode after that, we can get those parts in and this build can really start taking shape because I'm so motivated and I understand how I want the rest of the build to look that I just really want to get the ground rolling here. But now it does mean that I'm going to be a little bit delayed on some of the other episodes, but I think I should have enough parts to potentially maybe even start working on some interiors. Don't quote me on that, but something I may start prototyping here this coming week. All right, so before I end the episode here, I just want to give you guys a quick rundown of what next episode is going to entail. So I don't know if I'm going to have the panels in by then because I'm ordering them directly from Lego. So it's probably going to take about 2 weeks for them to get in. However, I do want to finish up the podium. I want to get the rest of a little bit of tarmac I have to build finished up. And as well as I want to see if I can start experimenting with some interior rooms. I think that'll be really fun and hopefully engaging for you guys to kind of see my process of how I design things, how I do little snot details, fun stuff like that. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you have not already. And I'll be seeing you guys very soon.